It's way too early to write off Manchester United. It's way too early to write off Casemiro.
Why did you leave Sky?
It was just literally a moment in time. I want to hear more about this.
Degree in dribbling. He literally done a course on it or something
What,
like
a
that.
3-year degree in dribbling?
In dribbling. In dribbling. I think he's made it up. Yo, it's your boy H Flat the Sauce, Harry Pinero, and welcome back to the Inside Scoop. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Culture Cameras. But today, don't act like you don't see the man in the middle. The one and only Geoff Shreeves has joined us in the building, and we're going to do a round of applause.
Yes.
Because I'm standing.
Yeah, standing ovation.
I'm on my feet applauding.
Yeah, standing ovation.
I'm on my feet
for
applauding.
the one and only. Do you know what? I'm giving him my watch as well. Take it. It's yours. There you go. Take it. I don't need that.
You're all right. You can keep that.
Yeah. So Geoff, talk to us.
Better one.
No. Listen, Rio's not paying yet. But talk to me, Geoff. How's things been, man?
Yeah, good. Obviously different, having been at Sky for 32 years, to come out of there. So not being on the touchline for the opening game of the season is very different for me. So it's a different world.
Do you still miss it though? Because you was like ever present on my TV screens ever since I've watched football.
And my PlayStation.
And yeah, literally, you're just like you're the voice of football for us in the Premier League. Do you have that? Like you turn on the TV, you're like, oh, I miss those days.
Oh, massively. And it's going to be a different period. This is a different part of my journey. This is the next phase of my career. And also, I'm not ruling out going back on the touchline or presenting shows for another broadcaster.
Yeah.
But because when I made my decision, most people have got their teams lined up for this season. So I wasn't expecting to go straight back into TV. But the two things I have to correct people about the most is I wasn't sacked and I haven't retired.
Yes.
So there's still plenty of touchlines to be stalked, plenty of questions to be asked. And also experiences like this, for me, which are new, are fantastic.
No, thank you
Very
actually for
Amazing. Thank you.
You know, coming on the show. This is when I found out the news today. I literally drove from Edinburgh. I said, "Get here now!"
But hang on.
Yes.
Let's make this clear to the viewers, because
Yeah.
we also recorded the quiz.
Yeah.
I was asked to come here to promote a charity event, and they said, "You'll be the quiz master." We get here, old Swizzle Fingers. Oh no, I think I'll ask the question today, and I'm up against Brain of Britain here on football, the stats machine, and I got absolutely battered.
Yeah, well, you'll see that episode on Football Heritage on 5. But
Try not
quickly,
to watch it.
your event. You want to let the people know about your event as well?
Yeah, thank you guys. Legends of Football. This is an event where we combine the power of music and football. We bring the two together. As you both know, like, all footballers love music, and most musicians love football as well. We've been going for over 20 years now, and we raise money for a charity called Nordoff and Robbins, and it's all about music therapy and the power of music therapy. It's amazing. You know, people with dementia, people who suffer from autism, all sorts of conditions, how much music helps them. And a lot of, if I can try to explain to you, some people, often young children, they're trapped in the world. They've got no contact with the outside world. They don't communicate. There's no eye contact. You start playing the music, they'll play music back to you. So all of a sudden, they're in touch with what... It's honestly, I've been doing it for over 2 decades. It's an absolutely magical thing. And we do it by a celebration dinner. And the people that we have in the past, we have made legends and honoured. All of them. Sir Alex Ferguson, Mourinho, Pele, Shearer, Lampard, Gerrard, Gareth Southgate, Ellen White, and this year I'm going to call them national treasures because they are Ian Wright, and Emma Hayes.
Nice.
2 absolutely sparkling individuals. So really looking forward to that. October the 2nd at the Grosvenor House Hotel. If you want to look us up, we are loffootball.co.uk.
Yeah,
are you boys going to come along?
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's now time for me to step up in the world, so I'm definitely going to come suited and booted, and of course you're going to get me a chauffeur from my house. Thank you so much. So
can I borrow a rollie?
Jeff will buy you one. Link will be in the description, guys. Make sure you go and be there. You're going to see me and Cams there, of course, doing our bit for the charity. But Geoff, there's some pressing news. Now, I'm sure you can see there's a Manchester United jersey to the right of you. Yep. And me and Culture Cams both support Manchester United. And currently, we're not happy with our start of the season. I think we've had a massive end of the last season in terms of winning a trophy, getting top 4, finishing 3rd, you know, getting to the FA Cup final, not winning, but still getting there. Something that we haven't seen in a long time.
And then obviously we've started off the season, didn't play really well against Wolves, but we lost to Spurs quite convincingly, if I'm being honest. From your perspective, when you look at United, what do you see wrong? Or is there anything wrong?
First
Or
of
are we
all,
going over the top with it?
I think they'll be okay this season. I don't think they'll go down.
You see. I didn't bring him on for this. we didn't bring him on for this, bro.
They were so cocky, the pair of them in the press.
You had me. I said, we're going down. Relegation. Wow, crazy.
Two games in, so it's way too early to panic.
Yeah.
But they were soundly beaten by Spurs. And I think most of the talk as well, I don't know what you boys think, is around the makeup of that midfield.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was on the way here on the train. A guy started chatting to me. He says he's a Manchester United fan. He said, Mason Mount, he's not a good player. I said, of course he's a good footballer. I said, it's not, you got to find the right system that suits him. He's only just arrived at the club as well. It is really, really early doors. You've bought a striker who's not fit, so you haven't seen him. So how is he going to blend him with the rest of the team? The one area, I mean, to be fair, my friend and former colleague Jamie Carragher, when Casemiro was signed, he said this is Jamie's opinion. He said, I'm not sure that's a good signing. It's a quick fix, and at his age, I'm not sure he's got the mobility for the Premier League. I think that if I was a Manchester United fan, there may be something there. But look, Ten Hag is an experienced coach. He might put him slightly further back and protect the back four. But
the problem for me is that, like, as you mentioned, we can see it as well. Like, there's two things that can go into it. Casemiro hasn't come back looking as sharp as he did last season, which is fine, which we understand. Long season last year, World Cup as well. Maybe it is starting to take a toll on his legs, but I don't think Ten Hag is protecting him as well. I think he's exposed far too much. Just him, Mason Mount is somewhere, Bruno is somewhere, and he's having to cover acres of space as if he's like prime N'Golo Kante or something. You know what I mean? You got to get all around the pitch, and at this point of his career, he can't do that. So I do think there is signs of his legs going a little bit, but I mean, Ten Hag has got to get players around him. He can't do it by himself.
Should he be doing that? Should he be asked, though, to cover all of that?
He shouldn't. He shouldn't. I don't think he should.
I remember asking Ten Hag, I said, Casemiro, before he signed, I said, you've signed this player. What is he? What does he bring? And he gave me a great answer. He said, he is the cement. He said he just cements everything together. So it's not necessarily about his movement. It's about his reading of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's a legend. He's an absolute leg end. He's won the lot. So he's not overnight going to become a bad player.
No.
And he'll be clever enough, if he isn't as quick as he used to be, he'll adjust his game. Again, I think it's way too early. In the same way, it's way too early to write off Manchester United. It's way too early to write off Casemiro. Although I agree with Jamie Carragher, from what I've seen, where he's being played or the system they have at the moment, it does expose his lack of pace.
I agree. I think I watched the game, and I've been watching the game this season very differently to how I've watched it before, just because of this show, and I just want to understand how teams are playing, yeah? And what I've seen is that with Ten Hag, he employs this way where we man-mark every player, from the opposition team. And what I saw, and Jamie mentioned it as well in Monday Night Football, was that with Casemiro, and the way Spurs played in that game was that the two fullbacks were kind of in midfield. So our wingers were following them. And then Bruno would be over there marking another player. Mount would be over there marking another player, and Casemiro's by himself. So what happens is the striker then runs into midfield, and Casemiro's got two players that he's defending against.
And an overload.
And he can't do it. So I think you're right with what you said in the beginning about our makeup of the midfield. I don't think it's the players, so to speak. I just think it's the way Ten Hag has got them situated in midfield, because
where should Bruno be? Should he be out wide? Is he effective?
No,
out wide?
I think Bruno's best position is when he is just behind the striker, or being able to like influence play by playing to the wingers, or when he drops off a bit and he's able to like see what's in front of him, seeing in front of him.
Do you think he should be the captain?
I don't think personally. I think Bruno is a great personality. I think you can see in terms of leadership, in terms of like in the dressing room, you can see he's really loved and he's very vocal about kind of connecting the new players and everything. But I don't think Bruno has the temperament. I think when we go a goal down, it's often Bruno that's kicking and fussing and arguing with the referee. And I think one thing about Manchester United, and look, this might not be solely to Bruno, but one thing about Man United recently, or in this, where Bruno's influence has gone higher and higher, is when we go goals down 2-0, even potentially 3, why does the floodgates always have to open? It feels like we're going to concede 7 goals every single game, and once upon a time we did. But it doesn't feel like he galvanizes the team when there's adversity. That's my issue with Bruno. He seems great. You see him on Instagram, in the young players, like wishing people well, all this type of stuff. He seems great. But once adversity kicks in, there's something in this Manchester United nucleus that Rashford's head drops, Bruno's head drops, everyone's heads drop, and there's no one there that's just like, come on, like let's get back into this game. It's really frustrating.
Who would you have made captain? So Harry's not playing, so you can understand. Well, personally, I think Harry Maguire has carried himself with so much dignity and class. All the time he didn't play last season, every time he stepped up to play, did his job, and he would he would take the questions, and he said, "Look, I want to play." It's as simple as that. Who would you have made captain then if it's not going to be Harry Maguire this season?
I think for me, the thing is, I agree with what with Cam's is saying about Bruno, the temperament. I think an indication of that was when we lost against Liverpool 7-0.
Even last game.
Yeah, his response to it. But I think it's coming from a place of where he sees the team being, or where he knows it could be, and maybe that's frustration that's coming out. Because not to say he's on the same level of Ronaldo, but we saw it with Ronaldo. People was like, "Oh, Ronaldo needs to get him out. He's a rotten egg." No, he just wants to be great. And I think sometimes, I've never questioned Bruno's commitment to Man United. I think he's been our best signing.
That doesn't make him the right choice.
I'm just going to finish. I think it's not to say that. I think that's the reason why he's been selected captain. But if we're going off someone who is vocal in our team, I don't see anyone bar Bruno
it's hard
being
to see.
vocal. Because you'd say Casemiro, you'd say Varane, but does Casemiro speak English?
No.
Like, can he say to Rashford?
Take it back though. What do you want from your captain?
Lead by example. I want someone. If I'm a player and I can see that my head's dropping, I need someone who on the pitch is going to show me what I need to do, but also vocally is going to make me believe. Like, for example, when Wayne Rooney was our captain, you just know we're going to follow Wayne because and I don't think United have that leader in our team. I can look in every other team.
There's 2 types of captains, though, isn't it? There's let's look at Liverpool, for example. You look at Jamie Carragher and Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard led on the pitch by example, by what he's going to do on the pitch. Might fly into a tackle, ping 160 yards, he's in the box to get the cross. You know what I mean? He would lead by example that way. But Jamie Carragher was the vocal leader. You know, Jamie Carragher's the one that's pulling people together. You come here, even to Steven Gerrard, even for team talk sometimes. Jamie Carragher's taking them while Rafa Benitez is standing to the side. And Steven Gerrard is listening. You know what I mean? So there's different types of captains. And I just don't think... So Casemiro being that type of captain, maybe the one that leads on the pitch, I think is possible. I don't think your captain always has to be the shouter of the team and the vocal
Can I
leader.
throw a name at you?
Yeah.
Luke Shaw.
Nah, not for me.
Why?
I'm not the biggest fan of Luke
No,
Shaw.
I'm a massive Luke Shaw fan.
I'm a huge Luke Shaw
Yeah,
fan.
I think he's just severely like... You know what?
Did you see him the other day, though? Did you see him against...
Okay, but who played well in that game?
Nah, but then he's part of a lot of times, Luke Shaw's head drops too much.
But cool.
And he becomes a bit lazy.
No.
You're harsh. You're very harsh,
His
Cams.
intensity...
You're very harsh, man.
I'm telling you, Luke Shaw, look, he's a good player. Technically, he's a good player. But Luke Shaw often lacks intensity. There's times that Man United need intensity, need that a little bit, and he's just strolling across the pitch sometimes.
I don't.
You see the goal? You see the goal? He was walking.
Okay, all right. So Cams, I've understood you for a very long time. Yeah, your agenda against Luke Shaw has gone beyond what it needs to, innit? Yeah, because if we're being totally honest, it wasn't the left-hand side that was the problem against Spurs. It was the right-hand side.
I think Wan-Bissaka had a better game than Luke Shaw.
No, Wan-Bissaka for me has just had an integral. He's been an integral part of why we've been decent because he's just a great defender. But Luke Shaw, I don't think like Garnacho playing with Luke Shaw, I don't think they have a synergy. I think Rashford and him are better suited to play together, and I kind of think like
I just think Luke Shaw never ever hides.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm not with you, Cam.
Yeah.
I'm with H.
I disagree. I think with Luke Shaw, him and Rashford on that left hand side is frightening because Luke Shaw's got pace. He's got the best delivery, and if we're waiting for Højlund to receive, because Højlund loves someone to cross the ball into the box for him, it's only Luke Shaw that's a wing back that's got a fullback. Sorry, that's got that class to put the ball in the box.
He'd have been my choice as captain, but I'm not.
But why do you say that though? Then what would it be? What would it be the basis of why you would pick him as a captain?
I agree what Cam says about Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
in that he is very demonstrative. There's lots of, his temperament, I don't think is necessarily suited to be a captain. So you've got to pick somebody. He's going to play pretty much every week. I think Luke Shaw is pretty much guaranteed. He's a regular starter, isn't he? He's an experienced international, and also Bruno's personality. You're not going to lose that from the team. You're not going to lose that fire, but you don't have to make him the captain because that's still there. I just think that Luke Shaw has a calmer, if you like, persona.
Yeah, 100%. And he's respected in the club as well. Yeah, like by the players as well. So it wouldn't be a bad thing, but I just think when Bruno was announced as the captain, I don't think anyone was like, oh, why?
We knew because he was basically the captain last season. Harry Maguire was
that's
on the
other thing as well.
For a majority of it. So
we Bruno took the armband a lot as well.
And since it was a better season than what we usually used to, it kind of just felt like it's the natural.
Now you make a good point there as well, because if he didn't give him the armband,
it would have been random. It would have been like, hold on, I was holding the captain armband all last season, and now it's time to make it permanent, and you just go and give it to another man. It would have been a bit controversial.
I've got another thing to speak about, Geoff, just quickly on United. So Cam spoke about this last week, was identity with Man United. Now, you've seen United play under Sir Alex Ferguson. You've seen the transition from him leaving and other managers we've had. What was the identity when Man United was playing under Sir Alex Ferguson in comparison to now? And what's the issue? Why is it that United don't have that thing, that type of play that we see with Brighton, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City? They have a way of playing and it works for them. Regardless of the results, it just works. Why is it that Man United don't have that?
Under Sir Alex Ferguson, United's identity was quite literally attack. They were on the front foot. They had a belief. They would arrive at any ground, not arrogance, but a supreme confidence, and they had a belief. Also, they had the best players as well. So the momentum they created, and I think that's what they've lost. Because as soon as you aren't as dominant as you were under Sir Alex Ferguson, although towards the back end of his career they weren't as dominant as they had previously done, but he'd set the bar so high, it was not impossible to stay like that. I just don't feel, if you talk about identity of a team, you then almost splitting heads. It's about the characteristics of the team. When you look at a Manchester United team sheet now, and also they play pretty similar. He didn't change the tactics that often. You knew what you were going to get. You knew what each player was going to do. Yep. You knew it was imprinted. The style was there, exactly the way they would play. It was in their DNA. I don't think Manchester United have it anymore. They change, so they've changed coaches. They've changed players as well. I don't see that core identity. I just don't see it. Like, you know how Manchester City are going to play. You know how Arsenal are going to play. If you said to me, how will Manchester United play next week? I couldn't tell you for definite. Could you?
No. That's the major issue. I do think there's a bit, obviously there are a lot of the talk after the game and starting the season was about the midfield. But I do think the attack are getting away with a bit of murder as well at Man United.
I was going to, that was the last thing.
Firstly, in the first half, we should have been about 2-3-0 up. We were missing chances for fun. If you look at the statistics in terms of chances created, Man United are up there already in the Premier League. Last season, United were in decent level as well and only scored 58 goals. The attack, Marcus Rashford had a big season last year, but sometimes you don't know sometimes you don't know what you can get with Rashford. One day is this, one day is that, and I'm not going to blame him because he's playing up front. But, and maybe he wants to play off the left-hand side. Anthony, in my opinion, honestly, I think that's a black stain on Ten Hag's name because that signing for me is outrageous because the 100 million on that. And I don't even really like talking about fees because you can't handle your fee. But as a player, he just does not look suited to Manchester United. It doesn't look like he should be playing for Man United. And you look at Garnacho as well. This is a 19-year-old boy who, this is one thing I don't really like about the Man United fan base is that they build him to this level, like he's this super kid, he's going to be amazing. Then he has 2 bad first games and all of a sudden everyone's like, he's not good. But the reality is Garnacho is good for his age, but in comparison to everyone else in the league, he's just average. And that's not even a disrespect to him because he's a young kid. Like you look at, let's say, for example, Trossard or Son. Let's say Son and Kulusevski, who played for the other team. he's not on their level. And that's no disrespect to him, but because he's young. But Man United have built him, Man United fans have built him to this level where they're expecting him to be a Son, to be a Kulusevski already. And when he's not delivering that,
pressure.
Now it's ridiculous. You got to treat young players appropriate to their age.
I don't think it'd be like that within the club. The club will know he's 19 years of age. He's going to have a dip. They're expecting. Exactly. They're expecting a dip. And that happens with all. It's very rare that a player, other than somebody like Rooney, bursts onto the scene as a teenager and never has a dip.
Exactly.
It's impossible. So they'll be expecting this, and they're not expecting him to be 10 out of 10 every single week.
But the fan base expect that, and that's what I hate.
Yeah, well,
that's what I hate, because they build him up to that. Like they build him up to it, and then when it's time for him to actually do what he's doing, just the natural development, they'll pull it back and now put all the pressure on him. But an 18, 19-year-old boy, as you mentioned, unless you're Wayne Rooney and Mbappe, these type of guys, you're not going to carry Manchester United. You're just going to be a contributing part of it. But you should just be a contributing part of a good Man United team, and that's how his development can go. But now we're looking at Garnacho like, save us.
Yeah, you can't look at him as the same. You can't really, no. But there's a big enough squad. You know, what part is Jadon Sancho going to have this season? What? He's a huge talent. He's a huge talent, and that hasn't gone away overnight. He spent some time away from the football club, and so that period should bear fruit at some point.
Yeah. What do you think about Anthony?
My concern with him is looking at him. I always judge wide players on, or most players, what's the end product? What is the end product? Does he get a lot of crosses in? Does he get past his man?
Nope.
Does he score a lot of goals?
Nope.
What does he provide? Any player, what does he provide for the team? My one concern with Anthony, given the fee, he doesn't look like he's got any pace.
Yeah.
You never see him. I mean, he's whippet thin. You never see him knock the ball past somebody and get down the line.
He doesn't want to use his right
You
foot
see,
either.
old school wing play, what I grew up watching, when there was no skills or anything, that you watch the player use his pace, get to the byline and try and go back to the basics of what football is. I think for me, when I watch him, I'm frustrated because there's a lot of talent there. We see this flair, we see the skills. We've seen him score some incredible goals. We need to see that a lot more. If he was going past players all the time and it was just his delivery he was worrying about, then I wouldn't be mad at that. That's something you can work on. But the understanding of what to do as a left-footed player playing on the right, where you can cut in, and Saka does it week in, week out. Saka against Crystal Palace had two defenders stopping him, and he was still finding ways to influence play. And I think with the amount of money we spent, like Cam said, I don't care about the money because it doesn't come out of my pocket, but the amount of money we spent in the club for that amount of end product to me is very, very worrying.
Hey, can I challenge you on that?
Go ahead.
When people say, I don't care what we spent.
Yeah.
It's the club's judgment as to, and it's a lot of players have said to me, you can imagine over the years, I didn't set the fee, it's not my problem, which I understand. But the club, the buying club, has made a judgment that this player is worth X amount.
Yeah.
And they could have bought other players for maybe half that amount. So I do think the fee...
The money,
matters,
the money matters
is,
because it also affects your other business that you do as well. For
Correct.
example, with us spending 100 million on Anthony when you could possibly have got somebody for half price, as you mentioned, and then maybe I've gotten a centre midfielder.
My question to that is,
that's when it's an issue.
That's Ten Hag signing.
And that's why I'm saying
That's
Ten
why
Hag,
the
this is unbelievable.
It's Ten Hag signing, and we said this before. Like Lisandro Martinez, I think was a great buy. Onana has been a great buy. Casemiro was there before Ten Hag came in.
No. Casemiro came in with Ten Hag.
Oh, with Ten Hag, yes. Okay, cool. So my point is, those three buys, you can say, okay, those make sense, innit? And we always judge managers based off who they buy and so on and so forth. Fergie had some horror buys, but it balanced out with the amount of great ones that he got. With Anthony, that's a player who he's managed at Ajax. So he's looked at Anthony and thought, this is the type of guy. And he started off the season, the first season, we was like, there's flashes there that he could potentially whatever. Now it's his time to kick on. And if he doesn't do well this season, then the questions will always go down to Ten Hag and his judgment, because...
you also, the usage of him, though. Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit inconsistent with Ten Hag, with the way he uses a Sancho, the way he uses a Pellistri, for example. Anthony seems to be one of the first names on the team sheet. And it's like, are you trying to justify the fact that you bought your mate to the club for a big record, a big
your
fee.
mate. Your mate.
It's the truth, isn't it? It's the truth.
No, it's a player he's worked with. It's a player he knows. You can't call him your mate.
Yeah, okay, cool. But you know what I'm saying?
Cams is
but I just think sometimes I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's a little bit inconsistent. Anthony can drop 0 out of 10 consistently and play. Sancho can play one game. It's a bad one. We're not seeing you for 5 weeks. Pellistri, I mean, he's getting sparing minutes. Do you know what I mean? So
Cams,
I'm a bit worried about that.
All managers are judged on 2 things: results and signings. All managers are. It's as simple as that. Because when the results aren't going well, fans, boards, etc., will say, okay, results aren't great. Who did he sign? Who have we brought in? And then when that doesn't look good, alongside results don't look good, that's when...
Yeah, and fans are getting worried. Fans are getting worried.
Well,
but
there's not many more worried than you. He's pessimistic, isn't he?
That's why we love Cam. This is why we love Cam.
Let's go to Tottenham real quick.
No, give me a positive on Manchester United right now.
A positive on Man United is that we are creating chances. You know, I just hate the way in the second halves we always seem to, or first or second half, we seem to be a one-half team. It needs to change into a 90-minute team, but we are creating chances, which is a positive. Højlund is coming back, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's about it at the moment. Mason Mount is injured now, so... Two games
in. We're 2 games
that was when
in.
I was drinking. Remember there was some yakking. No, look, I think for United, I think the positives are, like Cam said, yes, we are creating chances, and you can generally see that if we get it right, there's a good team there. I think for me, it's just that I just need to... I think the love that I have for the team is why it hurts a bit, but also... I need to use common sense. Nothing is going to happen overnight, especially with the amount of work that Ten Hag has to do. I think being a Manchester United manager, I think bar Real Madrid is the most scrutinised job in football, for me personally. Yeah, because the media outlets, the amount of pressure, the success that United had and what we don't have now, I think it's always going to be a tough job. But if anything, if last season's anything to go by, the fact that we finished third, we could have won way more games than we did last season. We just let ourselves down, got to 2 finals and won one of them. I think that's something massive to build on. So to write him off over 2 games is crazy.
No, we just kick on.
There's just some signs, and that's why I'm not in the Forest. We have to batter them like
this is what I mean.
Cams, you strike me as being the sort of bloke. If United win 5-1 at the weekend, first thing you'll say is, "I can't believe we let that goal in."
I just want Man United to look, Geoff. You saw Man United at our best. You know what it's all about to see Man United winning trophies. I saw Man United winning trophies. I just want us, of course, I know I'm not delusional. It's not going to happen overnight. But I want us to start acting like that. Like teams are coming to Man United and looking at us. As Roy Keane said on the weekend, it's like we're playing the old Spurs. Like teams are coming and running us over, battering us in 50-50s, winning duels, getting chances. It's like, come on, man. What am I watching? Honestly, bro.
And that goes back to our earlier point. Is that Manchester United's identity? Because it never used to be.
What was?
Getting rolled over.
This is what I mean. So Ten Hag, you got a job to do, right?
Well,
we'll see. Geoff, as you're in the media, before I move on to Spurs real quick, because they played well, we won't touch on them for too long. Congratulations to their performance.
It really meant that, didn't it?
Congratulations to their performance.
You've got something stuck in your throat.
But, you know, Harry touched on it a little bit, that Man United job is over scrutinised. You worked in the media, Premier League for 30 years. Come on, be honest. Do they sometimes say, listen, we got to cramp up the United agenda? You know, we got to focus heavy on United here.
Total nonsense.
Really?
Yeah, not at all. Manchester United, the self-styled biggest club in the world. So when you have that label and when you promote that label yourself, you are going to get the scrutiny. So they are... Ruud Gullit always used to have a great expression. He always used to say to us, tall trees attract the most wind. So when you are the biggest club, when you are one of the big clubs, and Manchester United are arguably the biggest club in the world, I'm not sure you actually define that metric, they are going to attract that. So when you have that sponsors, that sponsorship level, and it's a multi-billion-pound business, which might get sold in the next 50 years if we're lucky.
We need that Qatari money, man. We need that now.
Well, there might be a decision sometime in the next 20 years. We never know. You are going to attract that scrutiny. But to answer your point specifically, I'm not going to duck it. Was there ever, for us in the media, an agenda, right, let's really crank it up on Manchester United? No, of course not. But you have to recognise whether you're a television station, a radio station, or indeed a newspaper, you have to provide content which you think most people are interested in. So if at the weekend the Wolves get hammered and Manchester United get hammered, who do you think is going to create the biggest headline?
Yeah, of course, United.
So it goes with the territory.
Yeah.
It's never because it's anti-Manchester United. Never, ever.
Yeah, crank it up on Liverpool a little bit. You know, you guys are Liverpool media darlings, you know what I mean? But talking on Tottenham, you know, we'll talk on a few of their players. Basuma, he ran the show. Yeah, he ran the show. And actually,
fabulous performance.
Talking about what you mentioned about Carragher, like there was actually a time like Basuma was literally violating Casemiro. Like, come on, let me take you for a walk, and then I'm just gonna drop the shoulder in you. And Casemiro couldn't keep up. So that was a little bit definitely concerning. I think their new signing Dogi as well.
They're really good.
He's looking really good. And Maddison in the second half, he took the game over. Like first half, I thought he was quiet. But second half, he just started getting on the ball and making things happen. So, Ange, he's a slept-on manager. People were laughing, but I think this is the type of manager Spurs need. He speaks directly. He doesn't sugarcoat things. The Harry Kane situation, as soon as it happened, he said straight away, like, we knew it was going to happen. Like, let's get on with it. You know what I mean?
I think he's got a fantastic way about it.
Yeah, I really like him. And people were laughing because he managed in Japan and stuff. But we forget Arsene Wenger. It's crazy. So I think Spurs... I mean, growing up watching Spurs, they were always that team that were fun to watch. Okay, they didn't win trophies, but they were fun to watch. You knew you were going to see good football, and it was just generally good to see Spurs. And I think they're going to go back to that under Ange. I think it started becoming a bit of an eyesore under Conte, Jose, Nuno, and the later years of Poch. So I think it's a breath of fresh air for Spurs, and I'm actually happy for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I watched them, obviously the first half we looked like we was about to score. We had a lot of chances, but they slowly got into the game, and then you started to see what Andre was trying to implement with the team. I think Basuma, his position was so integral to them, having that, you know, solidarity, and also offensively as well. His passing was just really great. And then Maddison, I think it's about what you were saying about United. It's about leaders that lead on the pitch, and I think Basuma was a massive leader, and I think it allowed everything to just happen organically, and that's why they created so much chances. Along with us, we had chances to win, but so did they as well, and they deserved to win.
One Premier League game didn't actually happen. I went over my head. Luton still haven't sorted out their stadium.
Yeah.
What is going to happen with that? Like, they had to postpone their game against Burnley. Is it going to be fixed and ready for the second game at home? I'm not too sure.
I think there was a thing that they had to play a lot of their away games first to allow them to play. And I think last week it's a bit worrying because that stadium is someone's house. It's a mixture of a house and a stadium. But
it's brilliant.
I think
it is a throwback.
No, it is. It's old school, but
it's fantastic.
I think they need to get that sorted ASAP.
Yeah, but this is not the first time. Look, Real Madrid, they're not playing at home their first three games. Yeah. Because their stadium's not ready.
Yeah. But they got like a training ground that you can just.
I'm not comparing Luton and Real Madrid.
I was going to say.
But do you not think? I just think that Luton is a fantastic story.
Yeah, it is.
They were non-league.
It is a good story.
Administration, and they are in the Premier League.
It's mad.
I think the Premier League should give them a stadium like what stadiums is not in use or whatever they can use. Not Wembley. Not Wembley.
Yeah.
You want
Wembley.
You want your stadium. You want your supporters.
The reason why I say that, though, the reason why is just in case it gets to a stage where they're not allowed to play in their stadium because of safety and so on and so forth.
Well, there was talk of Milton Keynes, wasn't it, sharing with them for a little while, but they'll be aware. They'll be under severe pressure from their own supporters, and the players, they will want to be in their own stadium. So look, I've got faith that it will be ready, but it was never going to be ready for the start of the season. And you're also, as Harry kindly said, it's someone's house. We are talking about a major upgrade. It's not like, you know, if you buy a flat and you spend a few bob on it and maybe put in a new kitchen and bathroom. This is, you've bought a bomb site.
And you really need to get rid of the remains.
You don't want to lose that wonderful character. It's jammed in next to the railway. It's right in the centre of town. I hope they can do it without losing the character.
Shout out Luton, shout out Nath Smalls.
Let's move on to Liverpool. They won 3-1. We're not going to touch on it too long because I want to get into Geoff Shreeves' stories. You know what I mean? I really wanted to. So we're going to do a Premier League roundup pretty quickly. But Liverpool won 3-1. It's panic panic season for them at the moment because of the DM situation. But they signed Endo. I'm not too familiar with him, but he's going to be slotting in there. I saw Jurgen Klopp speaking to him and he's like, "We need you. We really, really, really need you." So he's going to slot in there. It's been doom and gloom a little bit because of Liverpool didn't get Caicedo, they didn't get Lavia.
Yeah.
But I said, listen, let's just calm down a little bit. They haven't lost the game since they've made that formation change. You know that. So, and it's been quite a while. So Liverpool, they could fly under the radar, but their front three scored. Salah missed another penalty. They don't know if he's going to stay on the penalty takers because they have McAllister and Szoboszlai who are
and McAllister's red card has been overturned as well.
Yeah, it's been overturned.
Never a red card.
Yeah, never a million. Yeah. And do you know what? One thing I saw this weekend about a red card, I said, yeah, that one has to be overturned because it wasn't dangerous at all. I think it just looked worse than what it was.
Well, like Tommy Yasu's Crystal Palace.
For me also should be overturned because I think.
But it's 2 yellows.
Yeah,
so they
can't.
can't.
Yeah, but that second, the second yellow,
ludicrous.
that one, that's a warning. That's a warning for me. But yeah, Liverpool. I think Liverpool, that front three,
They're gonna score
of Diaz.
goals, innit?
Yeah.
Okay, name the front three.
Diaz, for me, Jota, and I think Salah. I think those three, Núñez hasn't even scratched the surface yet, and I think Klopp must know he's not ready to start in the Premier League right now, and I think that's a little bit of a worry. But a lot of people don't like Jota. Jota for me is a nuisance.
Jota.
I think he's a nuisance. I think if you're playing against someone like Jota, he's very, very strong, and yeah, he might not score all the time, but he creates so much opportunities that I think Liverpool are going to really, really look up for him this season. So Jota's my player that I think for Liverpool is very underrated, but kind of like Firmino. Firmino didn't get you so much goals, but it's the work that he does to link up, to allow the space for Diaz to run behind.
Núñez will score goals.
I've said that as well. I think
Núñez will score goals.
But I just think when Klopp's ready to unleash him, it's when it's that time. I feel like when he feels like, okay, maybe we've got a bit of momentum. Because Liverpool need to win as much games as they can because everyone looks at their squad and thinking it's a bit low in quality. But I don't. I think
fabulous
it's
fabulous front four you've got there, so you can rotate those. And if they've now got a solid midfield, it's completely revamped midfield, it's a massive job, then that's, as a front six, if you like, or a front seven, that is
I think they're very underrated, Liverpool, this season. Very. But
are they as solid at the back, though?
I think they conceding too many chances, Liverpool. Like, I know Van Dijk is Van Dijk, but I've said for a while I don't think he's what he was, pre-ACL, and that's.
But is that though? Because what's in front?
That's
of
exactly what I was going to say. Man. I don't think it's him.
We'll see. Let's see about it.
Remember, you had Fabinho. You had Henderson. You had
Milner even.
You had these players protecting you.
Solid.
Like, even down to when I look at the best midfield defenders, in Premier League generation, we look at Terry, you look at Rio. Look at the players they had in front of them. So when it was time to defend, they can see the game, they can read it. I think with Liverpool right now, and last season, especially before end of last of the season, they were getting pressured left, right, and centre. That's why you're seeing Van Dijk and the Matip and that get exposed. Get Liverpool.
But weren't they telling us that Van Dijk can defend all channels? He can step forward.
He's got the most interceptions in the Premier League so far.
Let's see, man.
He's got the most interceptions. So I don't think he's finished.
I'm not saying he's finished. I'm not saying he's finished, but I don't think he's that best centre back.
All right, let's run through the rest quickly.
Let's talk about Brentford keeping a clean sheet.
All right, Jeff.
Listen, Jeff, listen,
I can't stand this guy.
Look at this guy. I said to him,
there's real beef here.
Yeah,
there is.
This is proper beef.
I said to him, one of the signings.
I'm in the sandwich here.
I said to him, one of the signings of the season. The signing of the season will be Nathan Collins to Brentford. Yeah, he laughed me out of the studio.
No one ever.
There's
a clip we can use.
He laughed me out of the studio. Then he came in last week and was like, Nathan Collins was looking shaky. This week, the Bees fans love him. They can't believe it. They can't believe they've got a player of this quality. Do you know about Nathan? You know about Nathan Collins. What do you think about him?
What I was going to ask you is why did you think he was top draw and why did you doubt him?
All right.
That's what
I'll start off first before he comes and lies to you.
I
didn't say that. I said the way you're screaming about this player, if it doesn't work out for him, it's on your head. That's all I said.
So, similar to how he was criticising the Manchester United fans about Garnacho, building him up to a ridiculous level.
Yep.
So he was doing exactly that.
Basically.
Okay.
Nathan Collins is a fantastic centre-half. He's got everything that you need. He's got a bit of pace. He can tackle. He loves getting in the tackle. He wins his duels.
He's
good on the ball. He reads the game well. Listen, He is a fantastic centre-half, and I said by the end of the season, top 6 clubs are going to be interested in him. They're going to want him because he is solid. I'm telling you, I can't believe Wolves let this guy go. That is the most random sale for me, letting him go to Brentford. And he's going to make Brentford more solid, form a partnership with Ethan Pinero, clean sheet. Now they love him.
Have you just pensioned Ben Mee off? Is he off?
Yeah. Ben Mee out with old, in with the new.
That's Cam's for you. Cam's is narcissistic.
He's brutal, isn't he?
No, he's narcissistic. He's a disgrace.
Let's move on from that one. Brighton are doing what they're doing. They've scored 8 goals now. 8 goals. I want to ask a question. Is Matoma the best dribbler in the Premier League?
I think sometimes we tend to lose our minds a bit.
Who's better?
I think he's one of the best. He's definitely.
I'm not hitching my wagons. I'm not saying he's the best.
I'm not saying he's the best. I think even Luis Diaz is an incredible dribbler as well. I think there's a lot.
I think cleaner than
you see Matoma. I think it looks incredible. Like the goal he scored the other day was just literally he ran through everyone. I think that was a bit poor defending as well. I think Matoma is exciting. I think he's definitely going to be. If he continues playing in the Premier League, especially at Brighton, he's definitely going to be one of the best wingers that we have in the Premier League. I think he's got to do it a bit more longer. I think he's had a great season.
I'm saying his dribbling. You know, he did a uni course. He studied dribbling.
In dribbling?
Yes.
Well, he did a degree in dribbling.
He did a degree in dribbling, yeah.
Has he got a bib?
Bro, he's got a degree. I
want to hear more about this.
Degree in dribbling. He literally done a course on it or something like that.
A 3-year degree in dribbling?
In dribbling.
I think he's made it up.
PhD in dribbling.
I think
I hope he has.
No.
Comments.
If he has, then fair play. It sounds crazy.
What do you think about Brighton and under De Zerbi and 4 goals again in both games, 8 goals, top of the league? What do you think about them?
I think they're sensational. I think you could argue the 2 best run football clubs in the Premier League are Brentford and Brighton.
Oh,
because the way that they are so clever in the way that they recruit and the way that they play. And also, I mean, when Arsenal came in for Raya, it was put to, and the sort of question I'll have asked a million times, put to Thomas Frank, we understand there's a bid for Raya, £30 million. And most managers will say, well, I don't think about that, I can't talk about that. Thomas Frank went, be delighted to sell him for 30 million. Great business for us, that's what we do as a club. That's how we operate. So I think both of them, so Brighton, and you look at the money they got for Caicedo.
Wow.
It just, the players that they sell, their scouting network is unbelievable because they don't go to all the traditional countries. They're a lot from South America.
Yeah.
They are really, really clever outfit. And I love their ethos. I love everything about them. And under De Zerbi, they play really entertaining football.
Really good, man.
Yeah. Last game I did with Brighton, I did... now, City had already won the title, so you have to make allowances for that. The 2-2 last season at the Amex. Literally, I'm stood there, Pep's there, and you can see Pep, and he said to us pre-match, obviously he's relaxed, they've won the title, but there's still Champions League to go for, so there's something, they've got to keep winning, keep the mentality going. He said, well, let's see what, you could see, he was waiting to see what Brighton were going to do. And they posed questions. They asked some serious questions. I think they're fantastic to watch. I think he's a brilliant coach, the way they move people around as well. And then Ferguson.
Evan Ferguson, he's the next £130 million signing.
What could he be?
Honestly, if Sir Alex Ferguson was still in charge of Man United, he would already be a Man United player. Evan Ferguson looks the one.
You see, he's in your fantasy team. So in our family, I've never done it. I've never done fantasy, so I'm having a bit of time on my hands at the moment. So I picked my first ever fantasy team.
Yeah.
I'm bottom of the table.
So am I, actually.
All right. It's not in my family. Yeah. Okay. My son messaged me. He said, Dad, you've got 3 players who are not first pick at the moment, 1 who's suspended, and Mitrovic who doesn't want to play.
That's a horrible... You're not getting
He's already gone.
Yeah. So I'm just as bad on quizzes, aren't I?
Solly March, as I mentioned last week, he's carried on his Ballon d'Or form.
So I do listen to Cam. So
I'm not crazy.
There was a segment where he basically said, from August to November, Solly March is the best player in the world, yeah? And I said, you know what? Let me add him to my team. And he got me 2 goals. So there's a method to this guy's madness.
Good footballer.
Incredible.
And let's get into Chelsea before we get into... Sorry, people, if you're Arsenal fan and you're other clubs fans, we can't get onto you this week. We've got to get into some
Arsenal,
more
you lot
important
done your
things.
thing today.
They
You done
did
your
their
thing.
West Ham versus Chelsea.
Big win for West Ham.
Chelsea again have dropping points. Chelsea have won 5 games in their last 31 fixtures. It's actually unbelievable what's going on with Chelsea at the moment. Like they had 76% possession, 716 passes, but West Ham done what West Ham do: direct, long, set pieces, and they just ran over Chelsea in the end. But what do you?
Poch has got a lot of work to do there.
Yeah.
They've got a bloated squad, and obviously they've spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
But Poch has come in, he's had a look at it, and he's clearly thought, well, you might have spent a lot of money, but I actually don't fancy quite a lot of these. These are the new signings I want. These are my players. So I think that's going to take some time to settle down before he gets the team he wants and the players he wants. And they've got some horrible injuries as well.
Yeah, Carney just got injured now 6 weeks.
Exactly. So there's a lot of not unrest as in unrest within the squad, but I think that's going to take some time to settle down.
For the Chelsea fans, like, do you think there's method to Bowley's madness?
No.
Yeah, I'm about to say, man.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
People in football, you should never be afraid. No matter what the business is. Say us three had a business together. I don't think you should ever be above looking at other businesses and learn off of them. What can we do? What can we do? But there's a reason that clubs don't give out 8-year contracts. So now he's either a genius and the whole of the world of football will follow, or he's got this horribly wrong. I mean, you've seen players who, what they're like at the start of their contract, when they're looking for a new contract. Some players, their form is very, very different. 8-year contract. I mean, that's assuming there's going to be a sell-on value. If after 2 seasons, well, we were talking about Anthony earlier on, say that was an 8-year deal.
Like Mudryk, people are getting concerned.
He's young, I get that. But I'm not convinced that this is going in the right direction at all. But Todd Bowley's new to football, and he may well take advice, and they are wealthy enough that they might change tack.
So big shout out to West Ham. Antonio got a goal, Luca Paqueta as well, and a guard. Great debut from Ward-Prowse as well.
Yeah.
But let's quickly just wrap it up on Arsenal. They had a nice win as well, 1-0 away from home. Yeah, obviously it was just a penalty.
I watched that game,
Yeah.
So 2 things what I noticed about that is that Palace defensively are really good. The way they set up against Arsenal was, it's like I said earlier about Saka. Saka had 2 defenders on him at all times. And I think in midfield as well, like they had moments where they was trying to find the third, get into the final stages of the pitch, but they don't have a good striker or a striker who gets goals or who can receive the ball and bring other players into play. Like Eze is one of the best players in the Premier League in terms of how creative he is, and he only got into the game after there was a red card. And I think when they got a red card, I saw how Palace could play if they have momentum. But for me, Arsenal, that was a dirty, hard fought win, and they got it in there. They got it, and for me, grit, determination. I think for Arsenal, we're used to seeing them play beautiful football and have control over the games, but those games are going to happen a lot in the Premier League. And I think for me to see that happen, and Eddie Nketiah had a chance, he hit the post, and he had another chance where he could have scored. So they could have scored more goals, but the fact that it was a penalty that won the game, and the fact that they defended really well, even with like 7-8 minutes extra time, for me, is a credit to Arsenal. And hopefully, for football, we see more of that, because we do need someone to stop City. And for me, I think Arsenal are the only team.
You saw, didn't you? You saw it. What it meant to the Arsenal players, to the defenders.
And that's the second game.
Gabriel, when he came on, high-fiving, even stopping a goal, even if it was going out for a corner or a goal kick.
Yeah.
Fantastic. They won, they dug in. And you've got to have style to be a top team, but also you've got to have strength. I thought they showed a lot of steel.
Yeah. And that's something that Arsenal are always accused of not having. They haven't got enough steel. But now adding in Declan Rice as well, you got man of the match.
What a performance for me.
That's exactly what you're bringing here. That's what you're bringing him in for.
I'm actually meeting him tomorrow.
Is it?
Yeah, you got some work that we're going to be doing.
I'm saying I might have to come along, mate.
Yeah, you might have to, mate.
Yeah, but that's literally what Arsenal are trying to also build as well, and have. They only completed 489 passes. Well, 489 passes. Arsenal usually at 600, nearly 700 passes a game. So it just shows they had to dig deep in this one. So massive credit to Arsenal, and massive credit to Aston Villa as well, who smashed Everton. But we'll talk about them another time. We got to talk about the man we got here.
Geoff
we got to talk to you.
We've come up, We've come up. Yeah. We started off just me and Cams.
I feel it's the other way around.
No, Geoff. Honestly, you are the legend, man.
You know, Geoff, obviously, 32 years of the Premier League that you were working in and stuff, and obviously...
I started when I was 6.
So you were there from the very inception. Like, you've seen everything, literally everything, you know, and it's crazy to think about that you've actually seen it all. But how... Can you tell us about what happened when you left Sky? Like, what is the situation?
Why did I leave?
Why did you leave? Because a lot of people are a bit confused. We see the Daily Mail kind of articles and stuff, but we don't actually really know. So why did you leave Sky?
It was just literally a moment in time. And it's an expression I've always used. I always think it's a really important trick in life to know when to leave a really good party. You stay too long, everyone's getting a bit drunk and it gets a bit ugly and people wish you'd gone. If you leave too early, you've missed all the fun and you didn't really enjoy it all. There's just sometimes in a career, or it's like a player at a club, you just think, do you know what? I think I should go and try something else. I should experience something new. There was no animosity, no problem with the way it was dealt with. Sky were fantastic with me. I was really grateful to them, the way they looked after me. So yeah, I just decided it was time to go. Look, they were making cuts as well. So that meant there was an opportunity. It just kind of all clicked together. Will it be a great decision I've made? I'll tell you in 18 months. Yeah. It could be a really smart decision. It could be the most stupid thing I've ever done.
Well, there's always a space here for you. You don't pay as well, but, you know.
Hey, you've got a Rolex. Pay can't be that bad in here.
I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst.
I want one of those bad boys.
I mean, I gave it to you in the beginning. You didn't want it. So
well, to be honest with you, I prefer the Daytona. So that's why I gave it back.
That's out of my price range.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I'll get there after this appearance. Don't worry.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So, in that time, like, obviously, seeing the Premier League from the start to now, what is the biggest differences you've seen since the Prem started in this 32 years?
I would say the biggest difference is the speed of the game and the fitness of the players, the actual shape of the players. They really are like race horses now. And I'm not for 1 second saying previously, you know, they were old cart horses or they weren't fit or anything. Of course they were. But in terms of the actual pace of the game, I think the players now are far more athletic.
Yeah.
And that because of the advances in fitness and in
science.
diet, all of those things. Clearly, I'm a subscriber to all of it. Yeah, I would say that is the biggest difference. Because players now are so slight. When you see a player take his shirt off, they are, I mean, other than well, not just ripped, but other than a few centre halves, very few of them are big guys. They're not physically big. They don't have big shoulders.
Strong, though.
Yeah. When you look back at some of the older players in the early days, they were bigger men, basically. But also the speed at which the game is played out now is so much faster.
Do you think that means does the game have more quality now, or do you prefer the past? I think the past, maybe if
that's what was going to be my question was to you. If you could pick a year or a moment in time in the Premier League where you said this was the highest level that the Premier League has ever been in, what year or period would you say that was?
I mean, I'm never one, because I really don't like that when they say, yeah, he was a good player, but he couldn't play now. That's nonsense. Good players could play in any era. And there'll be players that, even before I was born, if they were top players then, I mean, you heard when Haaland, they talk about Dixie Dean, he was way before my era, but he was a top footballer. So had he born in this era, he would have been able to play. So I would never disrespect any players from a previous generation. But you've only got to look back. You look at the Fergie years. They were amazing to watch. The Invincibles, what a team. Arsene Wenger's team, when they used to create those little triangles. And I've had the privilege of being in the company of Sir Alex and Arsene when they've discussed it, and now they're no longer butting heads. Talk the respect for each other's teams as well, but Manchester United as well, they had that physicality. So did the Arsenal team as well. Chelsea under Mourinho,
Scary.
Yeah, fantastic. But so I'm waxing lyrical, and I sound like somebody. Oh, yesterday's. Hang on, what we're seeing under Pep and the football that they play. So it's almost like saying, oh, do you think music was better 30 years ago? No, it was just different. And you appreciate it just as much. Look, we've just sat and talked about the weekend's games. We've glued to all of it. We've loved it.
Yeah, of course.
And there's things to admire there, the players there. The other thing I would say, is, and it's maybe not just in football, but because I do believe football is entertainment. I think it's much harder for players now because of the scrutiny that they're under. It's harder for them to perhaps let their hair down, to be themselves, to express sometimes their personality away from the pitch. I think it's a little bit harder for them.
Social media is just, as soon as you do one thing, they're onto you. So let me do some quick fire round questions because I know we're stretching the time. Who's the best player in Premier League history?
I don't know if you can say he's the best player in Premier League history. If you said to me, which player did I enjoy watching the most? It's a ridiculous question because so many have been so good. But me personally, Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Do you know what, Geoff? Ask them whose shirt I bought here. I said Bergkamp was the best player I've ever seen play the game in the Premier League because of how beautiful he made it.
I sat down with
him. Geoff, you're already my favourite. I think you're my new dad, you know? No, that's Dad. He's white now.
I sat down. Your dad's been sacked. I sat down with him once and I said to him, you know, tell me about your mastery of the football, etc. He said, it's simple. He said, I used to kick a ball against the wall. I said, yeah, loads of kids do that to learn the touch. He said, no. He said, you learn to understand the behaviour of the ball. He said, because football is like trigonometry. Okay. He said, it's easy to react to a situation. He said, if you understand the patterns of the game, it's what's going to happen before it happens. He said, that's when you learn about space. And that's when you learn about how to move the ball. So I said to him, right, come on, I've got to ask you, do you understand why people question whether or not your famous goal against Newcastle, do you understand why they don't believe you meant it? He said, yeah. He said, I understand that. He said, it was lucky. So I'm thinking, right, I've got a scoop here. Dennis Bergkamp has just admitted it was lucky. He said, I'll tell you why it was lucky. He said, because Robert Pires fired it into me. He said, I wanted it on my right foot. He said, but he fired it into me, it came on my left. So that was lucky. He said, Nikos Dabizas was behind me. He said, I thought he was touch tight. He said, I'm guessing that he's touch tight. He said, because if he's a yard off of me, when I make that touch, it looks like I've made a bad touch. I said, so the rest, you knew what you were doing? He went, of course.
Wow. But it didn't look like it was fake, though. It just looked like
Look up on YouTube against Juventus, because I asked him his favourite ever moment.
I know what you're going to say.
No, it's not even his goal.
It's
Freddie Ljungberg.
Yes, against Juventus, deep. With a little dink.
Yeah. Ljungberg finished nice as well.
Do you know what it's like? You know, at the end of The Usual Suspects, when the cop realises he's been done and he drops his coffee like that, and he just disappears like a puff of smoke. It was like that.
Wow.
Good film as well.
Yeah. Best team you've ever seen in the Premier League? If you know the year, potentially.
Impossible to answer because they were all so great. They had their characteristic. Impossible to answer.
All right, let me ask this question then. Because I believe what changed the Premier League from it being just Man United and Arsenal was the inception of Jose Mourinho in that 2004-2005.
Brilliant, loved him.
Would you say that's the most impactful team to enter the Premier League in terms of changing the scope of what it is?
No. I would say
Arsenal, innit?
Listen, 97, I'd go all the way back. I'd go back to Sir Alex Ferguson. If there was no Sir Alex Ferguson, we would not have had the Premier League in the shape that it was. He came down and they hadn't won it for 26 years. And the revolution he started at Manchester United to get them back to where they were previously. And the magical moment of basically Sir Matt Busby handing him the baton, him accepting the challenge. And that's what raised all the others as well. So I would argue that Sir Alex Ferguson's appointment to Manchester United was arguably the most pivotal moment in the Premier League's history.
Preach. And lastly, I was going to ask you about Pep or Fergie, actually. Pep or Fergie? Who you got? Who's the better manager?
And your answer is what we want.
And I got one more as well.
Yeah, but you say both. There's not a question you can answer because both great to interview.
Yeah.
But I always tell people if interviewing Sir Alex, sometimes Pep a little as well, but they're different in the way they are. It's like being on live television. It's like riding a motorbike. It's thrilling. The adrenaline's pumping through. It's fantastic. But when it goes wrong, you fall off. It's half hurt. When they bite back, it's not good.
What's your favourite commentary moment? And we'll just wrap up on that. Like your favourite moment either on the touchline or your favourite moment being involved in the Premier League. What was that moment where it's like, wow, I love this. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was all day, every day.
Yeah, of course.
Because it was
that,
embarrassing to call it a job. So many good. I'm probably going to have to go Martin Tyler and Aguero. I think of.
Were you at the game? Were you at that game?
Come on, man. This is Geoff Shreeves we're talking about, man. He's everywhere.
He might have been at the Sunderland game. I
think of Colin Moore closing in is a great line in commentary. When Tony Adams scored against Everton and he was put through by Steve Bold. And
would you believe it?
And Tony Adams puts his arms out like that. He's in the sunshine. You think of all the demons that Tony has conquered. And the commentator, Martin Tyler, said, and that sums it all up. And Tony's just there, bathed in sunshine, leader of his team. Look, as you can tell, same as you guys. Yeah. I love football. I love football, and there's so many fabulous moments. I genuinely think we are so lucky to have the Premier League in this country. It is the envy of the world. It's the envy of the world.
It's been amazing talking with you, man.
Oh, guys, thank you so much.
I could be here all day. I know you got time. They're doing this to me in the background.
And then we've got Nando's in the back as well. But anyway, guys, this has been the Inside Scoop. I've been Harry Pinero, Geoff Shreeves, and of course, Culture Cams. Look, they're getting real. I'll get 100 as well. But please, before we go, let them know about your event before we wrap up, man.
Again. Legends of Football. It is an event we have every year. We support Nordoff and Robbins Music Therapy. We combine the power of football and music. This year we're honouring Emma Hayes and Ian Right at the Grosvenor House Hotel, 2nd of October. You can go to lofootball.co.uk. Please get involved.
Yes, the link will be in the description. This has been Harry Pinero. This has been Culture Cameron. Of course, like I said, Geoff Shreeves. We've made it, guys. We're in a big time now. Peace out.